So that doesn't make any sense, but hey ho, it's going to be arena right now. Let's go in game, and here we are, guys. Alright, welcome back, guys, to the Empire Collective Cup. This is game number 2 between Chris and Lojza for the Platinum League. Brought to you, of course, by Search Engine Revs, our main sponsor for this event. They have been awesome. But yes, game number 2. It's currently 1-0 to Chris after a pretty fantastic first game, let's be honest. That was quite something, to say the least. But game 2 will be Lojza's home map now, and Lojza here choosing to play on Arena, of course. His home map always going to be Arena. He's chosen Arena pretty much every time. I think, in fact, he has chosen Arena every time, every game in this tournament so far that he has chosen his home map for. So up to the north of the map, in the green, we have Chris. He's playing as the Aztecs, and down to the south of the map in the blue we have Lojza, and he is playing as the Britons. So again, not surprising that Lojza has chosen the Britons here. This is the second game in a row now that he's chosen to play as the Brits, and the Brits are his favourite choice on Arena map. He's played some pretty interesting strats. He's played two different styles, two different types of strats. He's played one strategy where he goes for a fast castle and makes a castle, does a castle drop, and one strategy where he does a fast castle and goes for crossbows and takes the relics. We'll have to wait and see what he goes for this time around, but I've certainly seen Chris do some pretty crazy stuff on Arena as well. In fact, one of his games this tournament consisted of him making about 6 or 7 barracks and doing nothing but Eagle Warrior spam. That was also quite entertaining to watch. But yeah, so up to the north of the map then, Chris here playing as the Aztecs. It's a weird choice really, because Chris should have known what Lojza was going to do. He should have known, first of all, that Lojza would have chosen Arena, and he should have also known that Lojza would have chosen Britons. If you go and watch the recorded games of Lojza in this tournament so far, you'll see that is what Lojza has done 10 games out of 11. This will be his 11th time doing it now. So Chris should have had that in mind, and maybe he could have chosen a Civ to counterpick the Brits. That's not to say that the Aztecs can't beat the Brits. It's not to say that the Aztecs will always lose, or that Chris is doomed to lose this game. It's worth noting that Bagiofro did beat Lojza playing as the Aztecs versus Lojza's Britons on this very map. So certainly possible for Chris to get a win here, even if his civilization might not be so favoured for it. And it's also worth noting Viper did the same. Viper also chose Aztecs versus Lojza's Britons and also got the win. Though that was a very, very close game, and I think that was in round 1 of the event, with Lojza very nearly getting the win from Viper. Viper doing some pretty crazy last-minute strats to basically get himself a victory, but it was a close one all the same. Now, obviously, we'll take a quick look at the maps, and the first thing that's striking me, if we look at the minimap, are these relics. Oh my god! I've never been able to fit all 5 relics on my screen before. This is something else. I have never been able to do that before. I've never seen that. All 5 relics on one screen, and they're all directly to the left of Lojza's base. So, I don't know, if Lojza scouts this well, I think he's going to be very influenced by the relic situation here. Because playing against the Aztecs, you do have to be aware that that Aztec gold bonus from relics is going to be coming into play if they grab them. And a lot of the time when Lojza does his castle drop strategy, he does neglect the relics and allows the enemy to get them. Considering they're so close to his base, I almost feel like he might be tempted to do the crossbow strategy more, rather than the castle strategy, so that he can actually grab these relics faster and maybe take advantage of all 5 of them. It's worth noting, by the way, just as a little bit of tidbit of information, if you gather 5 relics, it's basically the same as having 6 villagers gathering gold. Well, I'll continue that thought in a second. Thank you, Neo Malarkey, for resubscribing. Much appreciated. 12 months in a row. Let's see some Wololo hypes in the chat for Neo Malarkey. That is a whole year as a Wololo warlord. I'm sure he feels very much enlightened by his year with us. It's been a good year. Thank you. So yeah, like I was saying, if you gather all 5 relics, that is the equivalent of 6 villagers gathering gold full time. That's really awesome. 6 villagers gathering gold non-stop. for 5 relics. And you know what, that is a very close number too. That's very close to the number of villagers you need to make archers from 2 ranges non-stop. So if you do 2 archery ranges and you want to make 2 archers every, consistently, non-stop, you need 7 villagers on gold. So 5 relics equates to that. And that's actually a huge bonus if you think about it, a huge boost if you think about it. So it might be really tempting for Lojza, but he's not going to be that tempted. Clearly, he's taking his villagers over to stone right now. He's certainly not going to be going for the Castle Age relics, Castle Age crossbows and relic situation. He's going to take the stone, and that means he will do a castle drop. Now I think Chris is going to see this, he's going to know, and of course that is one of the downsides of Lojza's map right here. His stone is very far forwards, and Chris is going to be able to see what he's doing from behind his wall, and I think that's kind of a shame for Lojza, because both of his stones here very close to the edge of the wall, while his gold is nice and safe back over in this area here. He also has another stone really far in the corner. I'm not sure, yeah, he has scouted it, but I guess he feels like, yeah, this one's going to be better. It's closer to his TC. Doesn't have to spend so long sending his villagers out there to go and get the stone faster. But still, I think kind of interesting, and the fact that Lojza here only has 1 gold inside of his walls might make him want to put the castle out on the left or out on the right or something, just to try and protect the stone and gold that's quite far to the edge. Now Chris's map, let's have a quick look real quickly before we get up to the castle age here. Chris's map, he has got a main gold fairly close to the walls once again, but he does have backstone. He has got a backstone here. He has got a back gold as well. So there's not really a problem for Chris. He's not going to have to worry too much about resources being denied by any forward aggression or something like that. But it's certainly worth noting. Also, more gold out in the middle of the map. There's a lot of gold over towards Lojza's side. I'd say that this map kind of favors Lojza, to be honest with you, based on the starting resource positions. But yeah, what's interesting here is Chris is also taking stone, and that's interesting because as the Aztecs, you very rarely see a castle drop. I guess the question is now, will he continue taking stone? Like, what's his plan here? He's moving villagers over to gold, so it seems like he's going to happily... Oh no, he's moving out to stone. Alright, so Chris doing a very strange thing. Generally speaking, as the Aztecs, you're not going to be doing a castle drop. Doing a castle drop as the Aztecs really almost makes no sense, because your Castle Age unit is no good for you, especially against the Britons, right? If you start making Jaguar warriors against the Britons, they are going to get absolutely shredded up by archers, whichever way you cut it. So, castle drop from the Aztecs is kind of very strange. I don't know if Chris is going to follow through with that, or if maybe he's going to sell some stone or something like that. We will see. 6 villagers on gold right now. You know, maybe I'm expecting to see a monk. I'm expecting to see a monastery and some monks. But a castle drop mixed in with that, kind of interesting. And I'm going to be very curious to see where he's going with that. I'm going to be very curious to see what that's all about. He has done this before though, and I've certainly seen Chris do a forward castle drop with the Aztecs, which is interesting. Maybe he's also seen these relics on the left side and thinks, hey, if I castle drop out here, then maybe I can actually deny more stone from Lojza and I can grab the relics safely. Maybe that's something he's thinking about in the back of his mind. But it's worth noting that both these guys are up to the Castle Age very similar times. They're both up 13 minutes and 10 seconds, with Lojza going up at 13 minutes and 16 seconds, just 6 seconds apart. And once again, I'm going to be curious to see if Lojza is tempted by these relics as well, because, I mean, they just look too good to be true, don't they? All 5 of them just grouped up together on that left flank. He wants it. He wants it. But yeah, the castle drop from Chris is a weird one, and it certainly seems like he's in no rush to do it. Unless he buys stone, he's not going to have enough stone to click up to the... Oh, actually, sorry, build that castle. Let's quickly check the spectator dashboard. Is he buying? Is he selling? What's he going to do here? Is he giving us any indication of strategy just yet? Well, it seems not. He's not building a monastery. He doesn't have the wood for it. And I think he's lost his opportunity to build the offensive castle now, as that castle goes up from Lojza in a defensive position. Lojza's throwing up the monastery, that's expected, and he will go for those relics on the left-hand side. Chris, meanwhile, though, what's the plan, man? Where's the monastery at? Where's the where's the castle at? Well, I'm almost starting to think he's going to go for some kind of fast Imperial or something. It's so very strange right now, as he really doesn't give a whole lot away at the moment. Anyway, villager's making a move. Is that going to be a castle? Well, he's deleted some space in his wall. Villagers moving out. It looks like they're going to try for the castle in just a second. 660 stone. He can put that castle up right now. The question is, what comes next? Well, Lojza seems to be so far ahead at the moment. The castle's up. Chris sees the longbow, so he knows the castle is there. He's also going to spot that monk now and know that Lojza's one step ahead of the game. Chris doesn't even have a monastery at this point, and Lojza is already going to be taking the relics. Chris's castle then going up in a defensive position, and he is just basically forfeiting the relics at this point, I suppose. It's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of weird. It's kind of difficult. I don't know, maybe if he'd have just done a faster castle, like with the Aztecs you can go up to the castle age with less than 26 population. You can go up on 24 if you want for a faster castle time, throw up the monastery, grab the relics quickly. But I guess he's not too bothered by that. He's putting his castle up right here, and it looks like he's just going to, once he gets the castle, it looks like he's going to go straight up to the Imperial age and do a kind of fast Imperial kind of strategy here. I think this could work really well though, because obviously once he hits Imp, he's going to be able to start taking down this castle with a Treb. He could start doing some elite Eagle warriors, and that's going to be kind of easy to take down the longbows then. It's going to be interesting either way, but for now he's going to have to do it without the relics, and that's kind of a shame. These 6 relics, or 5 relics, sorry, going to be the same as 6 villagers on gold for Lojza, and Lojza might be tempted with a fairly fast Imperial time himself. But for now, Lojza's throwing up his 2nd and 3rd TC, whilst Chris does his fast Imperial, since he's got his castle and his siege workshop. Now, this castle is going to make it harder for Lojza to push in. It's going to make it really difficult for Lojza to do any damage to Chris. Chris can basically build up his eco in the back quite safely. What's interesting though is that Chris is still taking a lot of stone. It's like he just wants to throw up another castle, and I don't know if that's really the right thing to do here. It's certainly very strange. Like, if I was Chris, I'd think, you know, maybe get some more wood, get some more food, because once he hits Imp, he's going to want to be able to make Trebs, which is going to cost him wood. He's obviously got lots of villagers on gold already. And then once he gets Imp, he's going to want to make some army to actually support his mangonels, or sorry, his trebuchets. With a lot of stone, there's not really going to be that option, unless, of course, he throws a castle up on the front somewhere and then, I don't know, uses that to protect his Treb. But going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. I think it's so strange. Like, this whole build is so very odd. Lojza right now with longbows, but they're really nothing to be scared of in the castle age. Castle age longbows kind of suck, and there's another castle out on the front, so I'm not too far off the mark with that. I still think it's really kind of odd, and certainly not going to be seeing Jaguar warriors coming out. Question is now, will Lojza be able to hit this gold mine? It looks like he might, as those longbows come in. They're certainly going to have the range. 6 range at the moment. Of course, that's going to be a maximum of 12 in this game. Chris is going to try and avoid them as much as he can, but he should be bringing a mangonel over now to deal with them. So Chris up to Imp, and he's done it. He's done it. The question is now, what comes next? It's obviously going to be a trebuchet. He wants to get this castle down quickly, and maybe even take the monastery down quickly to deny those relics from Lojza. In comes the mangonel. A nice attack round from Chris. He's going to flatten a couple of those longbows, and again, well played by Chris there. And I don't know, Lojza, he could probably end up taking out the mangonel here. It's a shame Chris has no barracks or anything, because he's got no way to actually stop these mass longbow. Well, not really mass longbow, but if Lojza makes more longbow back at home, it's going to be difficult. But I guess at the same time, it's not going to be too bad. He can, like I say, defend this trebuchet with the castle. And although, yes, longbow are going to be pretty superior in the Imperial Age, with 6 range at the moment, they are going to struggle. Their castle outranges them. There's a couple of mangonels, and I guess that's all he needs to defend from the longbows at this stage. So I like this strategy by Chris. I think Chris is playing incredibly well, incredibly wise to the situation. With another Treb on the way out, that's a total of 3. And meanwhile, Lojza is just about to click up to the Imperial Age. Now you'll notice he's doing fortified wall. He wants to defend himself as best as possible. And of course make it much harder for Chris to get through into his base. But, you know, with the traps here, Chris doesn't really need to get into his base. He just needs to take down his castle, take down his monastery, and he can go from there. And even still, a fortified wall isn't going to keep 3 traps out for very long. Question is now, where's Chris's army? Once he breaks this castle down, once he breaches these walls, what's the plan? At the moment, we see Lojza preparing. He's doing man-at-arms at the moment. He's getting ready to go into the champion line, which makes a lot of sense since he's expecting eagles from Chris. Thing is, Chris actually isn't making anything. He's just going to go for the gate. He's going to take it down very quickly. Fortified wall is not going to keep Chris out here for very long. Like I say, 4 trebs, not going to be too much resistance to that. And Lojza seems like he's going to try and build some defensive walling back here. But I think Chris will want to go for the monastery pretty quickly. And after that, who knows? Chris is only just doing wheelbarrow right now. There's a little factlet for you. He's only just putting up his second TC. He's only just building his first barracks. But his aggression is coming in strong with his 4 trebs and his 2 mangonels right here. So what's Chris's plan? What's his goal? I would go for the monastery. I might deploy on the TC first, but he doesn't know it's there yet. And he's actually backing off. I think he's maybe scared of Lojza's mangonel. Quite rightly so. That's something you don't want to be caught out by at all. But trading 1 for 1 is certainly not too bad at all. And Chris looking really interestingly good at the moment. Koi, thank you very much for subscribing, man. Much appreciated. Welcome to the Wololo Warlords. You are awesome. Thank you, thank you. But look at that. Chris, great micro on his mangonels. He's clearly going for the monastery right now. And he's going for Jaguar Warriors as well. And I think that's an awesome, awesome decision. It's like he knows that Lojza's going to go for champs because he's taken his castle down. It's like he knows he's going for champions. So Jaguar Warriors, which as we know are insane at taking down infantry. He's going to have to get his trebs out of the way, but the Jaguar Warriors are coming out 2 castles at a time, and he's not got to be afraid now, really. Lojza has no castles, he has no archers, and archers are the biggest counter, of course, to the Jaguar Warriors. Infantry, no problem. Not a problem at all. So this is going to be certainly... It's quite tense for the next couple of moments here, as Lojza now is in the Imperial Age as well. He's nearly got double the villagers of Chris at this point, but it really feels like he's on the back foot, nearly losing that monastery just a moment ago. So, 2-handed swordsman now for Lojza. Lacking on upgrades at the moment, and you'll see he's kind of really changing his strategy here. As soon as he saw those Jaguars, he immediately did fletching. He's now doing crossbow, and it seems like throwing up some more archery ranges and getting ready to go into arbalest so that he can actually counter the Jaguar Warriors. And of course, this is a game of counters. That is what it's all about. And I think Chris reading this game so well so far, of course, could still get caught with his pants down when a bunch of Britain arbalest come into the picture. So we'll have to wait and see if he makes a transition into Eagles or if he continues pumping out the Jags. But for now, Lojza's still got those extra relics, and if you consider that Lojza nearly has double the villagers, if you add 6 extra villagers to that, which is of course what the relics are adding to his economy, he certainly is ahead by double. So Chris is kind of on a ticking time bomb at the moment. He kind of has to do damage quickly here. Otherwise, he's going to be in a pretty awkward position because Lojza's eco will pull him ahead. And Chris is going to have to play catch up a little bit. Of course, the Aztec economy is really strong, since their villagers' carry capacity is a lot more, but using your trebuchets to try and kill your opponent isn't always the best way to do things. We might see a couple of dudes getting flattened here, but it's not enough. He needs to get some army from somewhere, and right now, Chris is working on his economy, because without economy, he certainly can't make enough military units here to fight Lojza head on. I think Lojza's just hanging on here, and I think he's actually going to be able to start pushing this one back. It's certainly interesting. Now Lojza needs to get another castle. He needs to get some trebs or something like that. He is going to take some stone on the right hand side, and I think getting that castle is going to be really important. Of course, he can get Yeoman later on for the extra range. For now, his crossbow have 5+5 range, which is certainly not bad at all. And it's certainly going to be enough to deal with the Jaguar Warriors as well. So yeah, Chris is going to be feeling that. On the right side, of course, Lojza's coming in looking for some damage as well. But so far, nothing to get through the walls of Chris. So Lojza's going to need to get some kind of siege out here. He's going to need to get some kind of, you know, a castle to get trebs or something along those lines. But he's going to make a rush for the trebs of Chris. Chris is going to lose one. He's probably going to lose the second as well. Oh, maybe not. He's not focus firing the trebs down, and that was a big mistake. And of course, those champions getting cut down by the Jaguars Warriors and the castle right there. But yeah, it's just a moment, just a short while now until Chris is able to actually start production of eagles or something like that. In fact, we already see eagles on the way out here. A few being queued up. But he doesn't have the elite eagle warrior yet. And it's going to be an interesting one because he's going to have to micro quite well as well. Because if Lojza keeps doing champions, then champions of course counter eagles. And if he keeps making Jaguars to counter the champions, he's going to have to deal with the Arbalest. So he needs to make sure his Eagle Warriors are going for the Arbalest. He needs to make sure his Jaguars are going for the champions. And it's going to be kind of difficult. But anyway, Lojza on the left side, doing a castle right now. He's going to be able to get his own trebs out. And it feels to me like Chris has just lost his momentum here. He just got stopped dead in his tracks. He wasn't able to push in, he wasn't able to take that monastery down, and now I feel like Lojza is certainly going to be able to get a big advantage, going to be able to really pressure Chris at this point. But, you know, Chris here still not doing Elite Eagle Warrior. He needs a few more resources, he needs a bit more food at the moment, but like I say, don't underestimate the Aztec economy. He's certainly catching up, and I don't think Lojza's pushed out fast enough yet. I don't feel like Lojza's done enough damage just yet, but we'll see. Chris, of course, struggling for gold at the moment. His main gold on the right side now being pressured by these ranged units. And his main gold on the, or second gold on the front, not really that protected at the moment versus the 10 range of these Arbalests. So I think Chris hurting a little bit at the moment. Trying to move his trebuchet back out of harm's way. But that castle might not be able to keep it entirely safe. 6 HP, down it goes. And the castle coming under fire from a bunch of champions, and of course, Trebuchet as well. But Chris now, Elite Eagle Warrior, it's on the way, or it's done rather. He's got +4 defense, and he's going to try, maybe. No, he's not going to save that castle. I was going to say he might try and save the castle. That's not going to happen. He might try and save his second castle, though. The problem is, it's only a matter of time until Chris runs out of gold. Oh, there you go, an engagement on the right side. Sorry, I did not see that. Chris will clean up those units. Of course, that allows Lojza to know what's going on. Lojza immediately knows, okay, he's doing more eagles. It's time for me to make more champions. It's as simple as that, but Chris knows he's too far behind right now. He's calling GG. It's a shame, really, there wasn't like a, you know, a definitive fight to end that game. But yeah, I think that was certainly interesting. Chris there, I think, you know, if Chris didn't do his second castle, if Chris was able to, instead of doing his second castle, if he was to just make more Jaguars, like let's say for instance he built one castle out on the front, right? He had his trebs, and then he had more villagers on food, he would have been able to build more Jaguars earlier on. And then he could have maybe pushed in a little more. I don't know. It was a really nice attempt, though. It certainly probably, well, it probably caught Lojza off guard. And Lojza very nearly fell, very nearly crumbled under that pressure. But Lojza had just enough to hold Chris off. And then his superior economy, his much larger eco back here, and his 5 relics were able to allow him to push it back. And slowly but surely take the map back, push Chris all the way back to his base, and obviously Chris's gold position there, Chris's economy at the end of that game was in no good position at all. So GG to Lojza. He will get himself his victory on his home map, of course, and now game 3 will be Chris's home map, which I imagine will be something along the lines of Regicide. Maybe Regicide Fortress, maybe just Fortress, we'll see. But let's come out now and see what game number 3 is going to be all about.